So, Modern Warfare 3's multiplayer end all has been revealed and is playable first on PlayStation tomorrow, but is it any good? Is Modern Warfare 3's multiplayer and Warzone any good? Today we're going to be tackling that question from my point of view, so feel free to add to the conversation if you'd like. If you enjoyed the video, you find it at all insightful, do me a favor and drop a like on it, and if you're new to the channel, consider subscribing to stay updated with all things Modern Warfare 3. We're only just getting started, we've got a lot upcoming you won't want to miss. But for now, let's jump into it. So, let's set some parameters. First, I want to touch on a few things that are relatively baseline, but then we'll dive into multiplayer, Warzone, and then zombies. All of this is subjective. All of this, of course, if I'm brutally honest, I'm also going to forget a million things. I'm trying to get my thoughts here composed and get this out to you guys before I board my plane to head back home tonight, but I'm hoping I don't miss too much. But anyways, first, top level. It's not Modern Warfare 2. That's perhaps the biggest thing that I can say, that it is fundamentally not Modern Warfare 2. And for those that follow the channel, you'll know what that statement means to me, someone who's been hypercritical of the game the entire past year. Now, the argument that it's just a DLC, sure, go ahead. You can absolutely make that because there is a ton of similarities that I'm sure you can pick out, but in terms of gameplay feel, pacing, loop, all that, it's not Modern Warfare 2. But let's talk about multiplayer in particular. I do think that MP this year is just much more fluid than Modern Warfare 2, and while we're familiar with all these maps, and while I'm looking forward to new maps in the future as well with the seasonal updates to follow, immediately speaking, it felt cool to play on some of these maps that I loved and have missed out in some cases for 14 years, as crazy as that sounds. Back in early August, I also had the opportunity to play Invasion and Karachi at the Sledgehammer Studios, and I think those played pretty well also. I don't think that I'll mind as much since we'll have Ground War, and it'll only be a month or so until Season 1 drops, and we have brand new maps accompanying all of this, but the base offering feels like a mixture of new Call of Duty and old, which is a unique and interesting feeling once you get your hands on it. Movement, probably one of the biggest marketed items to people like you or I, the ones who actively seek out additional media for Call of Duty. It, to me, felt fluid. Warzone, something still may kind of feel off, maybe that's a bit placebo and I'm just in my head about that, but multiplayer at least felt fine to me. I was comparing it to kind of a cross between Vanguard and Modern Warfare 2019's movement. It felt a bit more refined than Vanguard, but not to the point of Modern Warfare 2019 where it was genuinely busted. For those that don't know and that aren't aware, slide canceling in Modern Warfare 2019 was genuinely a game bug. It wasn't ever meant to be a thing, and it reset your tac sprint in the process, and why it was the air quote meta. It allowed players to zoom around the maps. The overall fluidity, again, I felt like it was a mix, not necessarily of Vanguard in this case, but a mix of Modern Warfare 2019 and Modern Warfare 2. You can tell it's the new engine, and thus feels almost a bit cartoony like Modern Warfare 2, but it's not nearly as restrictive as Modern Warfare 2. But I wouldn't also quite say it's as free and as over-the-top and kind of cheesy movement mechanics as Modern Warfare 2019. Now, TTK, I'm honestly and surprisingly a big fan of this. Maybe at times it might even be too slow, but it gives cadence to accurate shots, making more consistent and accurate shooters the ones who excel in this game, something that to me indicates more gun skill rather than just who shot first, like what we have in Modern Warfare 2 and even to a degree in Modern Warfare 2019. If there's a guy camping a corner waiting for me because that's the only way he feels capable of getting a kill, I will have time to turn on a dime, 180, return fire, maybe even get that kill to be mine and not die. Modern Warfare 2019 or Modern Warfare 2, you never have the ability to do that. It was just a matter of who shot first. So I'm all for finding that balance with a little bit higher of a TTK that can hopefully reward players with more accurate shots. Now, aim assist is one thing that I got asked a lot on stream about, and this was one that I don't know for sure, but it did kind of feel like it might have been decreased a bit, which I'd be all for, but I just also don't know for sure. My settings, I don't think were perfect in regards to how my controller is usually set up when it comes to my games back home on my own setup versus setting up and then having to readjust everything to how I normally like it. I probably missed one or two things here whenever going through all my settings, so it might just be a product of that, but I also heard a bunch of pros talking about that as well, where they said it felt also a tad weaker, which again, I'm entirely for. I play on controller, fully recognize how crazy and out of pocket it's become in Modern Warfare 2 and Warzone, so I'm totally cool with that being downgraded a bit here with it, but anyways, that's something that you might want to consider as well. Honestly, as stupid and gimmicky as it is to say, I'm very happy that we're returning to air quote normal. The minimap with red dots, movement coming back, a perk system that isn't on a time basis, and so many other things. That stuff, as stupid as it sounds because it should be just basic Call of Duty stuff and fundamentals that shouldn't be touched, I'm happy that we have that stuff back again. I can't believe that some of this stuff went an entire year, and in some cases, for things like red dots on the minimap, 2 years at that point. I can't believe it was never reverted back within those main years of those games. Map voting, I also see as a win. I love that. Hopefully it's something that leads to less disbanding in multiplayer lobbies. The create a class and perk system, from hearing behind the scenes stuff of what happened and how they had to readjust this on a very short timetable, I'm okay with what we got here at this. I think that it's something that still allows for a more air quote unique aspect to creating a class, but it also still feels familiar with the perks and how those are laid out. The new attachment filter in the gunsmith is something that I think will make it, mixing with detailed stats, incredibly comprehensive and very easy to understand, as opposed to Modern Warfare 2 trying to be comprehensive but not being very user-friendly in that aspect. Happy with all that kind of stuff. But let's talk about some stuff that I definitely think needs to be changed. The big thing to me that I cannot get over, and the one that I'm assuming is going to be changed. It's one of those things that I don't think that they just had enough information playing in-house. Once you get it out to the masses, once you start getting a ton of players playing the game, that's going to give you millions more data points than you could ever have by just simply testing with QA in-house or by playing with developers in-house. But Battle Rage is something that went from a field upgrade in Modern Warfare 2 to now a tactical. So for those that don't know what Battle Rage is, if you activate it, it's something that will continuously replenish your health for the duration that it is active, and it's something that doesn't matter if you get shot. There is no cooldown on when that actually starts to regen your health. The moment you get shot, it regens your health back up, whereas previously, I think it's about a 5-second cooldown before your regen starts. That's kind of like the standard across all Call of Duty games. It's varied in some, but usually it's around 5 seconds. But with Battle Rage, it's something that just immediately starts to regen that health again. So it's now gone from a field upgrade to a tactical, something that you can use every single life, and in some cases, if you have the right vest attached, you'll have 2, or in some cases, again, you can have that sort of restock style vest that will give you replenishing of your lethals and tacticals every 25 seconds, and you'll have it for about 15 seconds or so, 10 or 15, I'd say, for Battle Rage. So whenever you activate it, at least once a life, if you have this, it's something that almost makes you like a super soldier. It is very hard to kill you if you have this active, and some of the clips I've seen are just absolutely wild. Some of the clips that happened to me, some of the ones that I've actually had for myself, and some of the ones that I've seen come out of COD Next, that needs to be changed, for sure. It was a good joke, guys, but April Fool's isn't for another half year here. The spawns, I definitely think also are pretty horrendous. Listen, I'll be totally blunt with you, I think that some of those spawns might be some of the worst we've seen in a long time. And especially it's weird because like it's TDM, kill confirmed, and other modes like that I ended up seeing really bad spawns on. Stuff that it's not usually supposed to be sticky spawns, but instead, whereas we should be flipping out to the other side of the map, let's take High Rise for example. TDM and kill confirmed spawns, you could end up being trapped in one of the back rooms of either side of the office or that cafe. Doesn't matter which, you can be pushed up into those areas and you will still spawn there. So that's something that will definitely take time. Again, that is absolutely one of those things that I think will be fixed out here in the very near future. But again, it comes down to how much data is available whenever you end up giving it to the masses. In-house versus actually playing with hundreds of thousands, if not millions of players, you're gonna get so much more data on, okay, that's a bad spawn, or we need to adjust this spawn point, where are alternative locations that aren't as hot on that heat map for where players are during spawns. You're going to get so much more information out of that. So that's something that will definitely be fixed, but right now definitely needs improvement. Also, I'm just going to preemptively throw it out there. You know skill-based matchmaking is already going to be a thing, so fingers crossed that gets toned down, but I'm also not getting my hopes up too much. And the final real big thing that I have, I guess you could say gripes with, is some of the visibility. It's just pretty rough at times. There's no real indicators, or if there are diamonds sometimes above players' heads, but they're not super visible. There's no full names here, it seemed like, but one thing that I was really surprised that we didn't see is that they had kind of like outlines when we played in August back at Sledgehammer Studio, where it gave a much more clear defined location of where an enemy is, which I guess could be both good or bad. It could give away your position, but also it makes being able to spot enemies much easier, whereas a lot of the times you'll see people blend in very well. And one thing that you probably don't have to worry about too much this year, because Modern Warfare 2 is coming into Modern Warfare 3, is you're probably going to have some people that stick out like sore thumbs anyway with the operators they choose. But the basic fundamentals of visibility, it still feels like there could be more done here to this, whether that be full name tags, whether that be much more clearly defined diamonds above players' heads, again, not like what we had in this build. And also, if there's going to be something like outlines or those sort of like shoulder lights like we had in Black Ops 4, any of that kind of stuff I think could work, but right now there's still a little bit of work to be done. But anyways, that's the multiplayer stuff here, both good and bad, that I picked up on here out of my couple of hours of game time. Warzone, let's talk about that. Firstly, the map itself. Lots of inspiration, I think, from the prior, best parts of maps. It seems like they're trying to take what worked elsewhere and then re-add it into this new amalgamation of what we've seen so far, and it feels like Verdansk was a heavy inspiration in a lot of the base structure here for this. I'm not saying that it's trying to be Verdansk, but it seems like there's a lot of areas that, when you look at Verdansk and what people liked, there seems to be a little bit here that it was that basic inspiration for it. There also are some cool classic maps I've already found, like Countdown and Seatown in the map, so that's pretty cool. The overall flow of it, I really only played 3 matches or so here, maybe 4, and it really was just, I think, still tough to discern exactly how the map will flow. We'll touch on it in just a second, that there are still some things with the map that I would like to see done, but anyways, the map itself, we'd like to have a little bit more time to sort of digest that kind of stuff. But when we talk about Warzone itself, we did learn of a lot of gameplay changes, major ones at that. For a quick rundown here, looking at my notes app from whenever we talked with Raven, the UI is going to be updated within Warzone, where red dots are going to return on the minimap as well, so if you fire in a certain area with an unsuppressed weapon, you will show up on that. There's an updated tac map color, weapon and loot rarity, the colors coming are back with that, which is great. I honestly felt like Warzone that we have right now is so drab and lifeless because there is no sort of indicator that offers that pop of eye-catching color. I don't know if that's just me and the nerd part of color theory, but that's just something that's always stuck with me. Ammo now has dedicated backpack slots for storage, which means that you will not have to pick up ammo immediately. You'll be able to pick up everything. The only ammo you have to pick up is if you want extra stacks of that. So that's a huge win in my opinion. The armor on the HUD is now blue once again. Additional quality of life stuff, 150 HP at base once again. There's improved faster pacing with circle closing time and size rebalancing. The gas mask can now be equipped manually. Tear gas grenades can now be countered with a gas mask. Players will always have a pistol when they go in the water, which is definitely nice. I hated having to take a pistol or have a class that always had a pistol just in case. That's not going to allow us to see a free passive source. We're going to see a couple of new perks introduced. Shrouded drops a smoke grenade when downed. Irradiated allows you to move faster and take less damage in the gas. And Resolute increases movement speed when damaged. An additional change to an existing perk is that Ghost now requires movement to end up activating. So I'm a fan of all of that kind of stuff. That and sniper one-shots being back. Nice little preview here at this. Obviously, we didn't really get a whole ton of hands-on time, but it kind of felt like, again, a mixture of this now new movement system, this new fluidity, but also it still did feel like there was kind of a base of that Modern Warfare 2 feel, where I'll say it now, even though I've adjusted quite a bit since the game launched, Warzone 2 still does feel a bit clunky. I don't know, again, if it was just sort of placebo effect in my head, but it didn't necessarily feel as fluid as Modern Warfare 3, but it definitely felt better. I will tell you that 100%. It felt better if you are somebody that likes that fluid movement. It just still felt like there could be a little bit done for it. Also, oh, one thing I forgot to mention is that the stim boosts are back as well, so if you do that, you're going to be zooming around the map again. Now, that said, there is absolutely some stuff that could use some work. One thing that carries over from multiplayer is Battle Rage. That's still insane. I pulled off way too many clips and too many kills with that active that I should not have, so nerf that. Definitely hope we see that, but I also think the map itself could be built out quite a bit more. There felt like there was a lot of open and dead space here at this, and I don't know if that's because the map's still in alpha, the mode's still in alpha, or if it's something that's going to be the final thing, and we're going to have a lot of open fields. Granted, Al Mazrah is still a lot of open space right now, but it seems like when you're trying to make the whole thing a more urban feeling, it feels weird to have so much open space, if that makes sense. So I don't know if we'll see that expanded upon, but that's one thing that I do kind of hope. The build that we had also didn't let us create custom classes, so I'm hoping that's not an indication of the launch state like we had last year where we didn't have custom classes, but I can't imagine that's the case. Ultimately, I'm kind of impartial on Warzone right now, again, only having like 3 to 4 matches. It feels like I need more time to digest this and also a little bit more to just think on it, but initial impressions is that Raven is attempting to cook again, which is definitely nice because it's nice to see these strides forward rather than this past entire year has been covering tracks and going backwards, getting to where we essentially were at the end of Warzone 1. So to be able to now push forward again is definitely nice. Now zombies, the final thing that I want to touch on here with this. Well, this one, it's going to be a really niche game mode, I think. Now, okay, here's the thing. If you go in with zero, and I mean zero expectation for zombies. If you're a round-based fan and you have any expectation, you're probably not going to like it. But if you have zero expectation, you might like it. If you're a DMZ fan and you go in with zero expectation that it'll be exactly like DMZ, you'll like it. But again, I think if you have any sort of preconception of what this will be, you won't like it too much. It's not zombies, it's not DMZ, it's kind of a strange mashup of both. If you look at it for what it is, which, if we're being realistic, is probably a filler gap year mode that got added and kind of got lucky that Outbreak kind of already existed, that they could build off the backbone of DMZ, and this is just going to be the best of what they had in like an 18-month developmental period, well, that's what you have. If you go in with that mindset and understanding of the circumstances around it, it's not a bad mode at all. But other than that, I think it may fall short of plenty of people's expectations. If you're going in thinking it's going to be zombies like you knew, it's not. I mean, even the trailer says, forget what you know, because it is so different. But it does have the capacity to be fun, does have the capacity for replayability. It's just a very different zombies mode, if that makes sense. But again, good or bad is entirely on how you approach it. That's going to entirely dictate, I think, what you get out of that game mode. But that said, that is the modes that we've talked about, but the big question is, should you pay for this, air quote, DLC? And listen, I certainly understand the argument because every game from here on out is going to be built on the same unified engine now, so it's certainly going to be much harder to distinguish one from another. So absolutely, this may feel like a DLC to a lot of players, but if you find a campaign, a refined multiplayer with a year of new content to follow, and a new experience for zombies worth it, sure thing, buy it. If not, don't. Trust me, I don't care. I don't want to tell you guys what to do. I'm just here to give you guys the information and give you an understanding of what you have on offer here upcoming. If I'm just basing this on COD Next, MP felt fluid and smooth. Warzone felt refined. Still would like to see a bit done with that, but it steps in the right direction. I didn't leave this event wondering how the hell so much was off the mark like I did last year. Last year, I was disappointed from the get-go. This time, I'm actually looking forward to playing the beta here again. I'm looking forward to jumping in, seeing how it plays on PS5, on my PC, and my personal rig, and then finally getting into the main year of support. Will I like it 5 months down the road? Who knows? But right now, I'm at least more optimistic than I was last year, and that's something that, as somebody who has been so disappointed this past year, I'm taking that as a win. If I'm giving how I felt, this game is the game that we should have had a year ago. Does it warrant your second dose of $70? Again, that's entirely up to you. But when I tell you this is the game that myself and many others pitched with our feedback to Infinity Ward that was entirely ignored for a whole year, I mean it. Every major aspect of this multiplayer is something that was pitched from February to September at some point during that window of the last year leading up to Modern Warfare 2, but never made it for whatever reason Infinity Ward would pull out. End of the day, play it, don't play it. It's free to play on PlayStation as of later this weekend, and same on PC and Xbox as of next weekend, so at least get your hands on. You have nothing to lose, especially in that free-to-play period, other than just maybe an hour of playtime if you don't like it. But otherwise, maybe you fall in love with it. Who knows? But for the gameplay itself, I didn't leave Next tremendously disappointed, which again, I said, especially based off this past year, is an absolute win. So that said, that's my feedback here on this. Do I think it's good? I think it's very good steps in the right direction. Is it perfect? Absolutely not. But that said, that's my first impressions, feedback, and everything here with Modern Warfare 3, multiplayer, Warzone, and zombies. So that's what we're going to call it. That's where we're going to wrap everything up. Let me know your thoughts down below. What do you guys think here of this? Are you looking forward to Modern Warfare 3 multiplayer, Warzone, or zombies? Anything you'd like to add to the conversation? Whatever the case, drop your thoughts down below. But if you enjoyed the video, you find it at all insightful, do me a favor and drop a like on it. And if you're new to the channel, consider subscribing to stay updated with all things Modern Warfare 3 in any capacity. We've got so much upcoming. But for now, thanks so much for watching. Mine has been Espresso. I'll see you later. Take care and peace.